We're working late.
Because
Scott's not prepared.
I can't, honey, what am I going to do?
That's my edit. That's my remix.
I just can't reach it from there.
Where?
This is for this guy.
That's what babies say, Carlie. He's a grown man. So stupid.
Did you press record? Oh my God.
It's recording.
Is it? Okay. Oh my God.
It's so dumb.
It's so dumb, but God, that got me.
I know. I don't know
Like,
why.
I wouldn't know what a baby sounds like.
Exactly. Where? That's what babies say.
Uh,
He's a grown man. Get it right.
shoot. Oh God, that got me.
Shoot.
Oh, all right. I'm back in the world again, kind of. A little bit.
Wow.
Hi, hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm trying to drink my drink, but I'm afraid it's gonna burn my
I'm
tongue.
almost done with my drink. It's a gingerbread latte.
Okay, so when you said you were doing dirty chais before this,
I
I was like,
in last episode, I said next time will be a gingerbread latte.
and hello, here it is. But my thought was,
That's the
oh yeah,
gingerbread
because
latte.
ooh, I'm not gonna shake my. I'm gonna burn myself. But I was like, but it's decaf, so it's fine. So I thought about doing it. But then my little coffee shop place the other day, it's so weird, the discrepancies between how some baristas make the same drink. Do you ever think about that? Do you ever experience that? Where you go like, why is the thing I ordered yesterday taste so fucking different right now? That happened to me, but the people pleaser in me didn't say anything. And I was like, this is an $8 drink. And you're sitting here and drinking it despite the fact that you think you were given the wrong thing because it doesn't taste good. And I sat there anyway. Really working on that.
That happened to me yesterday. 7, I went to Tender Greens to get dinner.
Okay. Tender Greens is notorious for...
They are notorious. I love Tender Greens.
It's delicious, but they fuck up an order.
I asked for the crispy rice bowl
Uh-oh.
with salmon instead of chicken.
Oh.
And then I fully watched as that man took a big old scoop of chicken, plopped it in that
Beep, bop,
bowl,
boop, and
I
you let it
didn't
happen.
say one goddamn thing. And I was just like, okay.
Here's how I'm trying to figure out if these are things we need to change about ourselves. Does it make me feel bad? And a lot of times I won't do it because it makes me feel bad. And I'm like, that's probably a dumb reason.
I just don't. Well, there was a woman that was in front of us who is being one shade of a Karen.
And I never, ever, ever,
Exactly.
ever want to come off like that. But that can also make you drink an $8 drink that doesn't taste good and just take it.
Yeah, that's also not good. But yeah.
But here's the thing I'm trying to remind myself is if I would have taken that and gone up to them, I know I would have been so thoughtful and kind about how I talked about it.
Same.
I would never be the person that was like, this isn't, I would be like, so sorry. I get this every day. It tastes really different. I just wanted to confirm that this is the right thing.
Yeah.
No one's lives would have changed other than mine in probably a good way. So
I
this
guess
is a lesson.
my thing is, would my preference have been to have salmon? Yes. Would my preference in your shoes have been to have it taste the way it did yesterday? Yes. Do I care enough to actually
That's
go up
also
there
real.
and say something
That's
about it?
also real.
Or to actually stop the man as he's about to drop that hot, delicious chicken into the bowl and say, wait, no, I remember I said salmon?
What if you hated chicken?
Well, then I would be more
You would have
on
said
it.
so. Okay.
Because if that was cantaloupe going in that bowl instead of chicken, you better believe, girl, nothing could have kept me from stopping his hand.
You would have been over.
It would have been
flying over.
done.
Fair. Okay, interesting.
O-V-E-R.
For me, the chai decaf is usually like the perfect amount of like sweet and savory to me. But this one was like sour.
Oh, girl, no.
Yeah. And
see, in those situations, I'll just toss the drink and be like, well, this was
$8.
I lost.
Drinks are
today.
so expensive now.
I know, I'm bad with money though. I will spend $30 on a breakfast burrito.
Can I tell you what I've been spending there? Well, there's these things called paleo treats.
Wow.
Some are vegan, some are not. The one I have has honey in it, but I'm okay about that. I've decided it is the most delicious treat in the history of treats.
The most?
It honestly, Colin, top 5 right now. But let me give a little bit of context. Not like in the world. I'm saying when you're trying to find a middle of the road treat where you go, this isn't like so bad for me. This is like kind of healthy, kind of a treat. Do you know what I'm saying? In that space. Not like death row meal. No. We're talking not the last meal you have before you transition into a new place. We're talking it's kind of healthy. It's kind of delicious. It's shaped like a Reese's, like a big one.
She's a nice girl. She means well. She's just also a slut.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
Chocolate on the top, and then this like gorgeous like mix of almond flour. This is gonna make me sound like I'm a lame ass, but it's really good. It's like almond flour, flaxseed, cacao. Like it sounds not good, but I'm telling you, so good.
I can see that
But
being
it's
good.
$8.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So when I go, I'm spending $16
Yeah,
for a dirty chai that I drink realistically in 4 sips.
yeah.
You and I were talking about
Dirty
that.
chais are worth it.
They're worth it.
They're
I
worth
am,
it.
but one of the girls scared me that she goes, "Well, you do know that there's caffeine in the chai part of the tea," and
Yeah,
I was
it's
like,
black tea.
and I went, "Yeah, but there's not there. The decaf means that it's not." And she's like, "Oh yeah,
Well,
the espresso." And I was
Decaf
like,
still
okay.
has some caffeine.
Right.
It's just very little.
That's the kind I can actually handle.
like sometimes in the middle of the day, I'll have like just straight up decaf coffee because my
Same.
boss drinks it, and it gives you just enough little kick.
Yeah, it does. It gives you a little some.
My battle this week has been, I've been obsessively eating ginger snap cookies.
From where?
Well, they're from Joanne Fabrics,
What?
but they're made in Sweden. They're called pepparkorka, and they're delicious. And on the bottom of the little tin that they come in, that is so cute too. It said suitable for vegans and vegetarians. So
Suitable.
yeah, so I wanted to bring them in for you to try, and I fucking forgot them. I wanted you to try them right here.
I just had the deepest craving too, and now I just feel disappointed.
They're so good.
So mad. Even though I was gonna make popcorn, I thought, what is the last thing I want to do? And that
While
would be
listening
listen
to
to
a
someone chewing down on some peat corn. But goddamn, it's like my emotional support food right now. If I'm just like feeling like weird, I make some popcorn and I feel renewed.
Popcorn, yeah.
It's so
It's
good.
the perfect blank canvas for any journey
That
you
is
want to
a
go on.
gorgeous way
Do
to
you
put
want to go
that.
to Sweet Town? She's there. Do you want to go to Savoryville?
She's also there.
Well, Savory's a he.
No.
Sweet's
Okay.
a she.
Oh, that's very
Mm-hmm.
close-minded of you. But anyway, you're gonna tell me, a mother, that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Welcome to Script Daddy.
All that to say, yeah, welcome to Script Daddy.
My closing argument is welcome to Script Daddy.
Welcome to Script Daddy,
podcast.
where we read screenplays, watch the movie, and discuss the difference between script and screen. I'm your host, Colin.
No, there's not a gun to Colin's head right now, despite the fact that he sounds like it. I'm Carlie.
It might.
Oh, I'm Carlie.
There's no way of knowing that there's a gun in my head or not.
It's true. I could be holding
It's
one.
2024 in America, people. Anything's possible.
In good ways too.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we already kind of checked in on our days.
Yeah, that was that.
That was that. So, do we want to jump
Yeah,
through?
let's. Yeah.
Today's episode is for the classic Closer.
Bum bum
Bum,
bum.
bum. We're doing Closer.
Yeah.
Close.
I don't even know if that's a
Um,
song.
We're doing Closer. We once again had a different movie planned, and then I text you out of nowhere. I was like, "We should do Closer." And you're like, "Yeah, we're doing Closer next." We can't explain this order, and I'm just so
happens.
obsessed with it.
It just happens.
I love that we're all over the damn place.
I do too.
It's
I
here.
quite
It's
enjoy.
real. It's the way to do it.
So what are the stats?
The
What are
stats. The stats. 2004. What? 20 years ago, Colin.
That is crazy.
Excuse me. I couldn't have seen it when it came out but maybe I did.
I definitely did. I was 15.
Yeah. Okay.
So I
But that
remember,
also might influence part of why we felt the way we felt, realizing the age we were when we saw it. the
yeah,
first time.
Trevor, my brother, loves this movie. Loves this movie. Has always loved this movie. He loves the play it's based off of. I remember liking the movie when I first saw it. Mostly
Same.
because I thought it
Big
is
same.
beautiful.
Yes.
It is beautiful. But
Already leading.
there was a part of me I feel like that felt like I had to like this movie because my brother liked it so much.
That's weirdly sweet.
It is. But yeah. Anyway, what are the
I do think it's kind of precious when you love someone so much that you find yourself wanting to agree with them even when you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like so okay that you don't
Well, I
agree with them,
think
but there's
as a
something really precious
teenager-
about that.
There's so many elements I just had no frame of reference for. and
that's fair. Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like to like find and like, empathetic in to the characters. Cause I was just
Fair.
so young, hadn't experienced anything.
But God, at that
that
age-
is explored in this story.
Oh, truly. But it is weird how like around that age, like give or take a few years like older, I always say I really thought I had everything figured out at 16
you always
in
do.
such an insane way. In a way where like
That's
at
why
my
you
age
hate
now, I'm
hearing
like
people say that to you.
1000%.
Because everyone sees you and you're like, oh yeah, you think you got it all figured out.
And you're like,
don't
yeah,
you?
actually I do. Ha ha ha. Sucks to be you. I have the answers, bish.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, 2004. That kind of rocked me. I'm not gonna lie. Director Mike Nichols, very esteemed. Little titles like "Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf," The Graduate, just a little small movie some of you may or may not have seen. Also, we should do that one.
We should.
We should really do all
that
of these.
would be interesting.
The Birdcage.
Shut up. He directed
Yeah.
Birdcage?
Dude, I literally was like,
Oh,
screaming.
now that's a movie we should do.
All of it. And then Charlie Wilson's War, I believe, was his last one.
Oh.
Like such a cool. I knew he had done some of these, but when I went to look it up, I was like, what a dope career.
It's so varied. And that is really cool.
That to me is
To
the
do
dream.
The fact that this movie and The Birdcage are from the same director is actually so wild to me.
And like speaks to just like, I don't know, like a craftsman, like that
Absolutely.
like what a palette.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
And what a mastery of his art too, to be able to
completely agree.
jump genres so drastically.
The writer was Patrick Marber. He wrote the play and the screenplay. He's written a fair amount of other things, but this is by far his biggest thing. A lot of other stuff. He did a lot of shorts and like a couple.
This
of things.
is what his legacy will be.
100%.
Is closer.
Completely agree. It stars the Natalie Portman, the Julia Roberts,
Period.
the Jude Law, and the Clive Owen.
Period.
The budget was $27 million.
I guess that makes sense with that cast.
I said it like Christina Milian.
With that cast in that time 20 years ago.
Yeah, you're like half of it was their paychecks, man.
Yeah.
My God.
Honestly, though, yes. It probably was.
'Cause I thought about
it's
it and I was like-
such a simple movie.
Yeah, I'm like, I did go like, oh yeah, but then I thought, I was like, it had to have been paychecks. There's nothing,
lot of it,
nothing
yeah.
about that movie screams like they needed a ton of money for that like location.
No,
But who
yeah,
knows?
but yeah. Yeah, interesting.
Okay, so really quick trivia. There's typically not trivia.
I actually
for
have a
movies
piece of
this.
trivia, but I'm interested to see if it's
I
on your
can't wait.
list.
Mine is like nothing. Clive Owen played Dan in the original stage production.
That was my piece of trivia.
Yeah,
which you know what's
I'm obsessed
what's funny?
with that detail.
I didn't remember I remembered Natalie Portman
Mhm.
and I remembered Julia Roberts,
Mhm.
but then the men, I forgot who played
You
who.
forgot that Jude Law.
I forgot Clive Owen was in it.
I kind of think I might have forgotten
And
too. To be
when
honest,
I was
actually.
reading the script, because I only saw this movie like I think once or twice back then 20 years ago.
Okay. Damn.
I saw it, I think maybe in theaters. No, I think I actually saw it. Anyway, whatever. I haven't seen it in 20 years, at least 19 or 20. Anyway, when I was reading it, I totally thought Clive Owen was Dan. I was like, oh right,
Really?
Clive. I was reading. I was like, oh right, I think Clive Owen's in this movie, and he's definitely this character. That's who I saw in my head the entire time reading this. So then when I saw the piece of trivia, I was like, shut the fuck up.
That's so wild. I feel like I might have temporarily kind of forgotten that it was Clive Owen, but I definitely remembered mainly, actually, now that I say that, Natalie Portman and Jude Law. I think I forgot for a second that Julia Roberts was in it.
Natalie Portman's always been the reason for the season for that movie. with me.
Absolutely. The stage production was called Close, and it's award winning. I couldn't find which awards. And then the last thing I have was that Kate Blanchett was set to play Anna, but she got pregnant and couldn't do it.
Oh. Oh.
Interesting,
my
right?
God.
Oh, and sorry, the film was
Kate
not.
Blanchett would have.
It would have been very different.
It would have been an all-you-can-eat buffet. Kate Blanchett, her fierceness.
She really is incredible. She really is incredible. She would have played it so different, I think. The film was nominated for a Golden Globe, but did not win. Natalie Portman, though, did win a Golden Globe for her performance, which I was like, okay. So full transparency, when I read the script, I read it before Colin. I text Colin and I was like, a teeny tiny part of me thinks maybe we like shouldn't do this one. We should move to another one. But now I'm so glad we're doing it. But I have thought so much about this conversation, and I went back and forth so much on my script score.
Me too.
And even honestly, the film score. But I'm gonna say I gave it an 8, which sounds probably nuts.
Okay, no.
But this is my justification.
This is for the script.
Yeah.
Okay.
The surprise in your voice is killing me. It was lower.
I mean, this is I feel like almost universally loved movie.
No, but
and like lauded movie.
But
People
here's
praise
where
this
it's going to
movie.
get weird is not because of my interest while reading it, but because I felt it was a very well written, like aside from the fact that I wasn't like, oh my God, rip roaring, like can't wait to read the next page. I will say I was impressed by how, for the story that was being told, I didn't feel like any work was being done for me as the reader to enjoy it, but I did ultimately think it was a very good document to have worked off of for the film.
Mm-hmm.
I think that a lot was missing for me in the script. But again, like the reason that I like gave it a higher score is because I'm like, for a movie that is 90% dialogue, just like scenes of two people talking.
Yeah.
I felt like, again, the formatting, it was all very clear to me. The dialogue, like that, I both great dialogue and also like at times hard to read dialogue. So I felt like I rated it that high mainly because I was like, I wasn't grasped by it, but I also was having trouble finding like other than like I wish I would have had a little bit more like excitement to keep reading the page. It did read very fast, and I was still ultimately like, I know exactly what this is.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair.
So now I'm scared.
It was a fast read.
Okay, go. I'm scared. I'm gonna throw it everywhere. You gave it a 1.
No, I went back and forth. I gave it a 6 out of 10. I gave it a 6.
I kind of get that.
I was gonna give it a 6.5. Then at one time I was gonna give it a 7 because I felt bad because 6 just feels so low. But I went based off of my enjoyment.
That's
and not
fair.
Based off of the technicality of how it's written. Which also, that's one thing that I guess listeners,
so
I think you'll probably see us flip-flop sometimes on like whether we're scoring something more based on
so
technicalities and more based on our emotional response to
You're
it.
100% right.
Which I think for me personally, it's been very divisive for me personally.
I agree.
Like as a writer.
I agree.
To read this script and not really enjoy it.
I agree.
I
know, that's why I'm weirded out that like I gave so much to the formatting, but I was weirdly impressed by that.
No, that's totally fair.
But like
I'm always giving things a higher score for formatting.
But again, I'm like, here's the other interesting part. This is notoriously more a movie that I would love versus you as far as like what we're attracted to.
This isn't my genre.
This is more my genre.
Yeah.
And so that's weird that I wouldn't go more off of my emotions.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird that this is more my genre and I'm focusing so much on formatting.
Well, here's something that really kind of came to me after I watched the movie. Well, I'll give you my brief. Okay, so this is what I wrote immediately after reading the script. I feel like now in retrospect, it feels a little harsh. I don't know if I fully still stand by it, but this is what I felt right after reading it last night. I said, overall, I didn't love the script. It's not typically my kind of genre. I wasn't ever able to fully connect with any of the characters or care enough. However, I was impressed by the dialogue for the arguments. There are so many genuine moments of people saying things they can't take back. I also found myself getting a little bit lost on the page sometimes, uncertain of where characters should be placed in the scene, and the fact that the dialogue all kind of read similarly didn't help. So
they did all speak the exact. Oh God,
they all speak the same.
Why was I not harder on this? That's so weird.
I kind of expected. So I expected it to be maybe potentially a bit of a slog at times for me, just for the sake that it's based off of a play.
True.
I love plays.
Yeah.
I love seeing live theater. But like when I'm in a theater watching a play, I'm in the mindset to watch two people in one location talk at each other for long extended amounts of time. that can work in a movie for me as well. But when it's an interpersonal thing on top of it,
Totally agree.
and you're only exploring like kind of the ins and outs of what love is, what makes a relationship, what is the difference between love and romance, like all these kind of themes that play out in this movie. It was a lot. And the thing that I kind of really realized after watching the movie, it's a thought that I had while reading the script. I think I say this in my movie review of it too. After watching the movie, I realized the thing that kind of prevented me from loving the script even more, even though this is like a critic smash. Like, people love this story, and you can look through the layers of this, I'm sure, at a very academic level and really find amazing, beautiful gems in there of like commentary and use of themes and shit like that, whatever. But for me, what it kind of played off as was that the writing was there to service the actor more than the story. And that took me out just because I'm such a story person. But that's also probably since I'm not so character driven naturally. And I do love a character piece like Carol. Have you ever seen that movie, Carol?
Yes.
That kind of character piece is what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Very
interesting.
I mean, the Notebook is kind of slice of lifey, but it's more plot driven than that. You have like the whole like
50-50, that movie kind of.
It is.
Like,
I shouldn't compare this to other movies, but anyway,
that's
I just felt like
very interesting point.
Everyone talks in one-liners.
Oh yes,
and it's all like ba 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 ba, quippy quippy, ma 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 ma, which worked better for me in the movie watching
Agreed.
it.
See,
but then I read this one thing that was saying the play is written with this certain type of almost like a poetic meter. It's not that, but it's a certain word. I forgot what it's called, but that they use a lot in Greek tragedies where characters speak in one-liners and they kind of hurl one-liners back and forth at each other. And it's a style that they would use in Greek tragedies.
I kind of
and how
that.
This is ultimately a tragedy, although we don't see that in the movie.
No.
Isn't that interesting? But anyway, that really took me out.
Totally fair.
And I love quippy dialogue, like a Diablo Cody movie. I love her dialogue.
Yeah.
But something for this, it just prevented me from really settling in and caring.
So this is where it's so weird. I agree with literally everything you said. So I completely agree with you. That's why I'm still like, I don't know why I landed on an 8. For some spiritual reason, I landed on an 8. But I completely agree with you though, that like the characters are like all read, it's as if they all speak the same language, but not. There's been times where we've complimented that about a film, but this one almost felt like they were all speaking the same poetic. It's as if they were all given the same drug, which is that you will always speak in like heightened, over the top statements, short, quippy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's the tone was just the exact same out of them.
Like the very first scene when he says to her, where she's like, I don't eat fish. He says, why? She says, fish pee in the ocean. He says, children do too. And she goes, well, I don't eat children either. That kind of ba 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 ba.
Yeah.
There's so many moments like that throughout it that I just, in like a stage play, I could see that working so well, being so captivated because you're watching it there live.
Totally.
Where a little bit of that magic for me is lost.
I hear you. But I have to be honest, when I read it on the page.
There is some crazy poignant dialogue as well. That is absolutely fucking incredible.
Like nuts.
There's a line that they took out of the script. I'll bring this up when we get into our like more detailed assessment, but there's a line that they took out of the movie that's in the script and is in the play that I thought is one of the best fucking lines of dialogue I've ever fucking read.
Did you write it down?
I did write it down.
I want to hear it right now.
You want to hear it right now?
I do want to hear it right now.
So when Alice and Dan get into their big fight at the hotel at the very end before they're about to go to New York. And he's getting so upset because she's like, yeah, he did. He fucked me all night and I came and I like you better, but I'm sorry, this is over. You got to leave. And he's basically calling her a dumb like whore or whatever. And then he like raises his hand back and she looks at him and she says, hit me. I know you want to. Why don't you go and fucking hit me? And then he does. He fucking slaps her. And in that moment, in the script, she looks at him and he's kind of horrified at what he did. And she looks at him. She goes, is there a single fucking original thought in your head?
I thought that was in the movie. Am I crazy?
They took it out in the movie. And I think that is one of the best way to call people
I agree.
Small little fucking piece of shit that has like, cause you'll just do like, you're going to jump off a bridge if someone tells you that old thing. Like, I love that, to look at someone after they've just physically assaulted you and just stick it to them. It's so searing and visceral.
Yeah.
And has deep layers of emotionality behind it because of what she's just come through, and her to say that, it's such a strong thing for her to say in that moment.
Agreed.
And like, I just really would have loved to see it.
I swear
in
to
the
God, I
film.
like feel like I watched it, so I must have loved it so much that I told myself that it was happening in that scene, because I agree. There's multiple moments in this where I read it and I went, fuck, that hits. And again, I feel like it's maybe a little bit like how we talked about this in another episode, how one of the epiphanies I had was that the aha, like big feel moment rarely is in the monologue. And like to free yourself of trying to make someone cry from a monologue, know that a lot of times someone's getting emotional from like a way smaller blip.
True.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying never a monologue, but I always find myself like, if it's an intense scene, I'm like, okay, this monologue is where I would have to. And I'm like, no, monologues are not where you feel the feels.
We did that in our heist script.
Yeah.
There's that one moment. And you're
Yes.
like, what if this person just says this?
Yeah, just
and
this.
It fucking
hits.
hits.
It just hits. And it's like, and I think that's something I really loved about this, is that while sometimes you felt like you had to get through the weeds with some of the dialogue, then when it got you there, it fucking worked.
That is very true.
There was something that like stuck with me about that. And like, and I guess maybe I'm just giving the credit to the
does have to
script,
come
but-
from the script though.
Yeah.
Like, okay, let's talk about our movie score real quick. Then we'll
Okay.
get into
Okay,
details.
my movie score, I have to be honest, is 8.6. And I'm
Ooh, yeah.
saying this because I'm really excited to talk about the film. I have a lot of feelings about the film, not are all good, but I will say I loved this movie when I watched it, and it inspired me so much as like a creative person. I just remember feeling so inspired by it when I saw it. And then I felt, in many ways, I felt very different. I felt older, much older, and like very much married in a long-term partnership while watching it and going like, oof, my perspective has changed on a lot of this. But I still ultimately walked away from it being like, I'm inspired by the way that this came to be, because there's a lot of things about it that should make it not work at all.
Mm-hmm.
And some things don't, but like there are things about it that like are iconic. And I was
Absolutely.
like,
That's
I
very
just
true.
wanted to turn towards that. I found myself wanting to forgive the things that I didn't find as interesting, because I felt like the moments that got me more than a lot of stuff I watch now, where I like, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
not the whole film, but there's a couple moments where I was like, ooh, I like felt it. And I appreciated, I just felt like the actors brought a slightly vanilla taste. They brought layers to it that made the script
Yes.
seem better to me. Almost looking back, I'm like, oh, but then I was like just a tiny blip. Julia Roberts' character is
Julia Roberts.
oh
Period,
my
in this
fucking
movie.
god in this movie.
What she does with her eyes in this movie.
The energy is nuts coming off her in this
my
movie.
hot take has I've never been a huge Julia Roberts.
and I know that about you. I
person.
was curious what you're gonna say.
She is probably the most beautiful I think she's ever been in this movie.
She is.
She's
She's exuding sexual energy,
actually
though.
stunning in this movie.
Truly,
And,
she's so sensual in
and
it.
she brought, I have it written down in here, but she brought a fierceness to Anna that
One-
I didn't
not on the
fully
page.
realize on the
No,
page.
I didn't either.
It was kind of there,
A little
but
bit.
in her dialogue, she made me see Anna's dialogue completely differently. Where I was like,
completely
oh, there's a fierceness behind that line. Like, oh,
Yes.
fuck. Like, she's and then I loved her. And I was
Yep.
like, I
agree.
fuck heavily with Anna.
Because on the page, Anna, no thank you, ma'am. Whereas she brought so
the
much
magic of an actor, girl. Like,
And
I was like,
and this movie that's the other part, is like it inspired like the actor in me, where I'm like, seeing people take material and make this out of it is impressive. Because
Yes.
some of the dialogue, for instance, when Anna and Larry are like in it and he's like, what does he taste like? And she's like, he tastes like you, but sweeter. First off, that's pretty iconic no matter what.
yes, that's
but-
the line Trevor
but-
always quotes.
But her delivery made a pretty good line fucking great.
Yeah.
Because also someone could have eaten that lineup
They
in a way
could've
that was like, oh,
But
ew.
for her, it's this
Like you,
desperate
but
thing, like, get the fuck
fuck
off me. Like,
off.
she's pushing him off
Yeah.
her with her words.
And she knows like
enough.
and she knows when she says this, like, baby, it's game over. Like
And then his delivery of what he says back to her was like, well, then fuck off, you die, you fucking slag. Like,
yeah.
it's like the intensity of him, Clive Owen, bitch.
Oh, big
like,
bitch, you better make way for Clive. You better make way.
That is nanny.
Yeah, so I gave it an 8.5 because I felt like when it hit so hard that I was able to forgive.
Love. Love. I gave it an 8 out of 10 for the movie.
Okay, so we're not as full report.
Yeah, no. I gave it an
I feel
8.
safe again.
Don't. I gave it an 8 out of 10. This is what I wrote immediately after watching the movie earlier today. I said the movie is a more enjoyable experience, although it's still not necessarily my genre of choice. I really enjoyed that they held back a lot from the script. Parts of the script already felt utilitarian, but the movie pulled back even further, removing pages of dialogue and even completely changing the ending. And overall, I think it really worked in the story's favor. Although I did enjoy the movie, at times it does feel a bit style over substance, and some of the dialogue's quippy nature, though much diluted compared to the script, prevented me from fully empathizing with the characters at times. Something that I felt in the script came through even more clearly while watching the movie. Is it felt like the writing was crafted to service the actors more than the story. It was more fun to watch these great actors spit scathing dialogue at each other than it was to sit back and experience the journey. But I guess for this, having been based off of a play, I feel like that probably is the journey, is how people talk to each other when they're in relationships. Like you see people talking to each other in the most loving terms, and you see people ripping each other apart.
To shreds. It's nuts.
I liked the movie more as a teenager, but I think also there's a part of me that most people probably do at that age, where you romanticize this idea of being ripped apart by someone over love. You know what I mean? Where it's like
100%.
If I'm not willing to if someone's not willing to tear me apart and I tear them apart, to show how much I love them, then I don't want it, kind of thing. Like you'd never fully consciously realize that, but there's this kind of sexy quality to a fighting couple that when we see it in movies these days, I see it. I'm kind of one thing I really hate seeing usually in movies is a married couple on the edge, yelling at each other in a fight. It just,
it's a lot.
It's just not for me. But anyway, the movie was a lot better, and those actors fucking ate.
So ate it up, and truly kudos. But you know what? When you were saying that, Colin, it made me think do you think the writer, having seen how these actors used the words in the play, made him feel more comfortable with maybe writing it more vanilla because he knew what actors could do with it? Maybe I'm giving him too much credit, but there is something interesting about that.
I don't know if it's so vanilla with the dialogue.
Or not so vanilla. I don't know why vanilla is the word I don't mean vanilla. What's a better way to describe?
I think, okay, I guess let's get into script notes and stuff. Because my very first note I wrote this when I was on page 4. I said, I enjoy how utilitarian the action is. It's very minimal, no fluff really, straight to the point. The dialogue feels so deeply indie that it almost takes me out a bit. But that could also be the play adaptation of it all. It feels like the dialogue is for stage, which clearly
100%.
It obviously came from that. But I think things with the action specifically, if anyone ends up reading the script, there's not any fluff. It's
None.
very straight to the point.
It is a document.
Short. There is one moment, a few other pages in on page 9, where the action, it's still utilitarian where it serves a purpose, but it's a little bit more artsy. So it's when Dan and Alice meet on the street. They see each other on the street, right? Alice gets hit by the car. Dan takes her to the hospital, all that, and they spend the morning together from there. And so in the script, and this is also in the movie too, they're on the bus at one point talking to each other, and he's explaining what it's like to be an obituary writer. And Alice, Natalie Portman's character, takes his glasses off and cleans them while she's doing it. And this is how that moment is written in the script, which I really likes this, because before this, all action is very boop to the point. This one gives you a little bit of emotional turn to it. This says, as Dan continues, Alice gently removes his glasses, looks at him without them, breathes on his lenses, polishes them, and finally returns them to his face. Throughout this, Dan continues to talk as if nothing unusual were happening. Alice is not being rude, nor does her attention waver for a second. Her concentration in his words is perpetually intense. I loved that.
It's beautiful.
But then when you see it in the film, it's it reads tender on the page, but in the film, it's such an intimate, deeply intimate moment.
But you know what's weird?
What?
Can I add something onto that?
Yeah.
This is so interesting how you and I like. Okay, so when I read it on the page, I was like, "What?" Agreed. I was like, "What a tender moment." But my next thought was, "How the fuck is this going to be acted?" Like genuinely, because while it works on the page, that is a challenging action to make in a way that's natural.
Very staged too.
It's
like,
so
you see a stage person.
Like I don't want to be this person, but I like 99.9% of the population is not doing that. And if they were, you know what my thought honestly was like, and if they were, the other person would be like, please don't do that. Or like, why, what? Not like, I'm going to keep talking to you, but it was that I was literally, my face was like, okay, Natalie, she pulled it off.
She did. I thought she did too.
But I was still aware of the fact that I was like, this is such like
a movie moment.
Yeah. But again, every movie's allowed to have them. And I still like enjoyed it, but I had the thought like, God, it was so tender on the page, but like, it's a little bit more difficult. It was the moment that made me feel like she was perhaps a bit more manic pixie dream girl than I recalled.
That's how it came off to me too. Cause like that, it seems like something that like a flitzy, like effervescent girl, like it's like a cutesy kind of moment thing.
That, but also in me, this is again me, but I had a moment where I was like, oh, is this one of those performances? Like I'm doing this because it comes off like maybe. About like her character.
I feel like she's a bit like that. Her being a stripper and everything too plays
well,
into
and
that.
She's so often, it feels like she's playing, I honestly think she's the most actually honest and vulnerable in it than anyone else, but she's still got her shit. Well, too.
It's funny because Alice, while her whole thing is her mystique and she never, divulges what her true name is or who she actually is. And like, while we know the least about her, she's a big mystery. It almost feels as if she knows herself the best out of any of these people. Anna does too, a little bit, but not really. No, because they're always flip-flop and they don't know what they want.
Well, Anna, what's interesting about Anna is the story starts with you thinking that Anna is kind of this like badass photographer, like bitch who's gonna have an exhibit. Like to me, I was like, oh, but the more it goes on, I'm like, you're fucking spineless, bro. Like you're actually like, you're spineless continuously. But I remember not feeling that way when I saw it when I was so much younger. But like there were moments where I was like, to be honest, I had moments like this with every character where I was like, ew, that's ick, more than I did when I was younger. Because you're 100% right. The thing I think the theme that I'm excited to like keep getting into, because I think I wrote the same thing in like 6 different ways, but how this movie, I was trying to understand to some degree, how did it land the way it did in such an intense way? And I'm like, is it because it did play into that thing we've all a little bit been fed, which is for your true love, you'll do anything. And like fully getting off on that and like getting excited by the absolute toxicity and drama of that before you realize it's toxicity and drama. Do you know what I'm saying? That like this movie feeds that illusion so hard, and yet I don't think it glamorizes anything. Like none of them are overly happy people per se.
I wouldn't say it's glamorized,
but at the same time, I think people's like visceral response to it was because it was a bunch of people who were so consumed with this idea of like that perfect love that you'll give up anything for and you'll whatever. And yet how quickly they all abandon ship like the second it goes the way they didn't think it would or wanted
like
it to.
All figuring out what like love is, it seems. Like what does love mean? Like is it that I feel like because like Dan's definition of what love is would be very different from I think everyone else's, because Dan is so selfish and he's motivated by like, it just seems like Dan, unless Dan had that feverish, urgent fucking kind of feeling that you have in the first 6 months of a relationship all the time, Dan didn't want it. And like 100%. Dan was so insecure. That's why I'm obsessed with the truth. I'm just Mr. Truth Man. Tell me the truth. But you can't fucking handle it.
No.
And that's why Alice fucking ends up leaving you, because she's like, no, you're not. You want me to tell you that I fucked him, but you're not going to be able to fucking deal with that. And she fucking dips.
100%. I literally wrote, I was like, oh, like while I was watching it, I literally wrote like, oh, like Dan sucks.
I hate Dan. I hated him on the page. Jude Law, though, but that is a beautiful.
And you know what I have to give every single one of them that I do think elevated this is they all played their characters sincerely.
Yeah.
Every single one of those people was
Yes.
truly, I think, made themselves believe that, like, no, I'm just doing the best that I can. Like, they
And
were
they all
all so
were.
sincere. I never felt like someone got like parody-ish or like everyone. I
Yeah.
believed literally each character.
No one got too big. It was
No.
small performances, very well crafted performances.
Truly. And
You believed them.
You believed them, and I think that's why you don't hate them. Because
Yeah.
if you didn't believe them, all of their behavior would only be gross, and you'd be like, I don't even want to
That's
finish
true.
this. But because you see a sincerity, none of them are like objectively horrible people.
Yeah.
They're just not good in romantic relationships at all. But
Yeah.
again, that doesn't mean someone as an entire whole is an absolute piece of shit. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that, but they're all worse people than I recalled, I will say. Like in the sense of when I was younger, I didn't
It's
feel
just-
that way. And now I'm
yeah.
like, oh, none of you are like exceptionally good people, but they're
Yeah.
also not horrible people.
None of them operate in a relationship the way I ever have, except Alice. I've operated as Alice in certain moments.
Mm.
But like I've never cheated on anyone. I've
No.
been cheated on. But yeah, it is interesting. That's a good point though. Yeah, the sincerity of it really pulled through. I keep coming back to Julia Roberts though. Her performance is so
That first scene, I was like,
good.
she ate this
Girl.
up.
Yeah.
She was so sexual.
So confident
because
and sexy.
on the page, not sexual at all to me. But I was like, the other part of me was like, get it, bitch. You made such a smart decision to play her like outwardly sexual.
Yeah.
And again, I don't mean that she was like romping it up. It was like that internal, like
Mhm.
confident thing. Like she knew the gaze. She knew how to hold the eyes. Like
Yeah,
she
girl.
was so like confident in her body. And the second she got on screen, like a minute in, I was like, that was the best choice to make Anna
Mhm.
more interesting.
Dan always slobbering at her fucking neck, basically like please.
His dialogue towards her,
like
his
he's
dialogue
so
towards her a couple
repulsive.
times. I was like,
Oh,
again, although
God.
like beautiful dialogue, I was like, this makes you want to talk about an ick?
Do you think she just likes the obsession?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because again, watching it now, her choosing to fuck Clive Owen so that he would quote unquote sign the paper. No, bitch.
Which is so
No.
crazy. But I could see a fucking man doing that.
Oh, for sure. But the way she did it, she was
Yeah.
getting something out of it.
Yeah.
There was no version of reality where she actually thought she had
Well,
to do that. You could, because
yeah.
she played it that
and
way.
then he says that to Dan later, where he's like, she loves a guilty fuck. Like,
and he's not wrong.
By the way,
and by the way, it hurts Jude Law because Jude Law knows it's true.
Yeah.
That's what's so fucking wild about it is that I was like, that part stood out so differently to me where I was like, and in the way that like, they all have this like don't ask, don't tell policy until you do ask enough. And then all of a sudden you tell everything and then you retreat. Like, but again, it's almost felt like a modern Shakespearean language where again, they were all speaking in acting in a very similar way. Like, hello, Clive Owen touching, or fucking not Clive Owen, I should say his character name.
Larry.
Larry touching Alice's face
At the gallery?
The gallery is insane.
It is insane, but it's also so sexy in the movie.
Agreed. But I thought to myself, this is an insane thing to do.
Yeah, because I'm like, just
but they're
out
all
in the
willing to
open.
do that.
Mhm.
Every single character in the film is willing to do that.
Very much like a story in that way. But I mean, people would do that too, though. I mean, people are wild.
But I
the way
thought,
that they operate, the way people act in relationships, the more I hear from other people,
It's true.
It's fucking wild out there.
it's true. You're not wrong. But I thought what was interesting is I feel like most films would choose to have one of them not be. But
Yeah.
in this, they are all cut from a very similar
It's
cloth.
like also the play of it all too
Yes,
is that
yes.
this is the
It's like the world you're
theme
inhabiting.
that we are exploring
Yeah,
is
yep.
like trust,
Yep.
infidelity,
Yep.
love, what it means to be in a relationship, different types of setups in relationships. One thing I noticed a formatting thing I noticed that is throughout the script and the dialogue that I really, really enjoyed was again the use of parentheses in an interesting
me
way. Oh, it took you out. I thought it was an interesting way it kind of informed the cadence of the character to me. Because there's one moment on page 8 where I first really noticed it. In Dan's dialogue, he is explaining.
Dan has it the most, I think.
Yeah, he does. Dan is explaining to Alice in that park that how he came here with his dad after his mom died or whatever. Not or whatever. That's literally what he's explaining. I don't know why I'm undercutting what I just said. It's literally what happened. But he says in his dialogue, he says, I've been here before. When I was 15, we came here. And then in parentheses, it says, my mother's dead. And then he says, my father and I came here the afternoon she died. So just reading that in that sequence when he's like, I've been here before. When I was 15, we came here. Like, my mother's dead. And like how you have asides naturally while talking. I thought it was a clever way that indicated it without being glaring to me, but interesting that it took you out.
I agree with you that it's clever. I think and there was a part of me that felt like I wanted to like fully get it, but there was a part of me that was like, is this direction? Like, is this like and then I was like, no, this isn't direction. But because it is so similar to a parenthetical, it's just more words in there. And sometimes people have really long parentheticals.
Oh, see, I thought that was part of the dialogue.
It was part of the dialogue, but I'm saying like the formatting, the way they did it threw me off, where I was like, is he prompting the actor? Because I was like, I know it's a play.
Is this supposed to be internal or,
yes,
or is Dan
that's the
actually
only reason.
this?
But like
Okay.
your interpretation, I'm like, I think that is a clever way. But for whatever reason, for me, I kept being like, is he queuing up like a performance note or is this actually part of the dialogue? But I agree with you that it is a unique and kind of cool way. It's just, I don't know why it kind of tripped me up, but it kind of did. They don't kiss upon first meeting in the script. Anna and
no, they don't.
And in the movie, you needed it.
You
like
did.
I felt in the movie
they needed to kiss because they took out the reveal of Alice in the hallway, which on the page I loved.
I agree. The tension was so much better.
So in the script it's on page 19. It's on page 19. No, page 21 in the script. So when they're at the when Dan's getting his picture taken by Alice for his book cover or whatever for the sleeve of the book, he has this whole sexy conversation with her, and we already know that he's with Alice. But then Alice shows up at the studio because they're going to go do something after he's done with this photograph. And Alice can tell that something's different with Dan. And in the script, it even says when Alice first sees him outside of her studio, it says that she can tell something's different with Dan. Like she clocks it immediately. So you know as the reader that something's going to happen. Anyway, she tells Dan to go away because she wants to get her picture taken by Anna. But before that, she can tell something's off. Sorry, this is all over the place. She can tell something's off. She goes up there, she meets Anna, sees that she's gorgeous, and she's like, oh, I gotta go pee. So Alice goes off to the bathroom, and while she's in the bathroom, Dan is coming on hard to Anna, being like, I need you, you have to be with me, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and in the script, while he's sitting there being like, I need you, I can't stop thinking about you, even though he just met her.
Which I hate.
We cut over to this hallway and we see Alice did not go to the bathroom. She's listening to the conversation. And I loved that because it shows how crafty she is.
Agreed.
She knew something was up. She set up the thing of, oh, I got to go pee, when really I'm going to go fucking listen to your ass. In the script, we don't know whether she sits there and listens or not.
She reveals it later, but I agree. I
loved that.
I enjoyed the tension of
the
that
reveal of it was so good because then you know she's going to go and say something. So then when she tells him to go and she stays behind,
100%. I agree.
And like the whole moment of Anna and Alice talking about it, and then she starts to cry, like and her being like, just take my picture. Good. And it works so well in the movie too.
It's also, but again, bravo to them, because if not performed well, that scene would make you want to like slap your own face in the sense of like someone being like, just take my picture. Like, you know what I mean? You could do that in a way that makes you go, ugh. But it told you so much about Alice. It told you and it told you a lot about Anna too, that she'd be like, yeah, stay. I'm going to take your picture and then offer a drink and all that stuff. Like it said, we learned so much about both of them in that moment. And so it was so necessary, but truly in the wrong hands, that could have been an absolutely painful scene to watch.
Yeah.
But the kiss, dude, when it's a sexy little kisseroo. They clearly had good chemistry, but then it's like to me, Jude Law, his character, he's so fucking off his rocker, but he plays it so sincerely that there's moments that I was like, am I gaslighting myself being like, no, but like because I was
feel
like
bad for him because he's pathetic. That's why you feel bad for him.
Or because he's good looking. I hate to say this.
He
You
is
want to give
gorgeous.
him like there's a party that's like, oh, come on,
That
but
is
I
a
want to give you the,
beautiful
but you just can't.
man. That is a beautiful man.
And he's great. And again, I liked that he played it where you were like, he's not an outward ick. You have to like get to know the situation to go like,
Yeah.
bro, you are a narcissist.
And he's so
you're pretending to be a
gentle.
poet, but you're
And when he's in
fucking
love
not.
with them in the early stages of the relationship, I bet he's so
Oh my
gentle
God.
and kind and nice. And he denies
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Moo, moo, moo.
Oh, he would
But
ruin
really,
you.
he's a possessive,
100%.
fucking narcissistic asshole who only wants things to be fucking perfect all the time. Otherwise, he's not going to be able to fucking handle it. But, you know.
And
He's going to cheat on you and actively go after another woman and then be upset by his own choices.
But he'll justify it in a way that makes him look like less.
He's just a hopeless
he's
romantic.
just a
He
hopeless
just can't
romantic.
help himself. He falls for anyone he sees.
One of the times, okay, like I said, I wrote the same thing in different ways because I was like, how do I want to express this? I literally put like themes of the film. If you think love is about loyalty, this movie would make a mockery of it. But if you root for the fantasy of what most love is in like fairy tale senses, this deep, fated, meant to be thing, you're less hard on them because of the way they behave within their intimate relationships. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I do think some people watch this movie and actually like weren't off put by the behavior. They were probably more like, that's what you have to fucking do, dude.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, we feel how we feel because of our relationships.
Mhm.
But absolutely people watch that and still put that on a pedestal or justified it for something that they're going
I
through.
know people in my life. Yes.
But again, they
have that
didn't
outlook.
make a mockery of those people because the
didn't.
performances were so sincere.
Yeah, they're
that
not even
these
holding their
people-
feet to the flames.
No.
They're just exploring
people
that kind of mindset.
1,000%.
Because that is the case, I think, for so many people. I think the more rare mindset to have is the one that you and I have. Granted, I mean, I'm kind of talking out of my ass, but I just feel like
booty talk.
the older I get, the more I realize so many people never really progress past high school and how these dramatic emotional like cycles keep playing out in people's lives and they don't see it. And it's shit like this.
Yeah.
Where in their mind also they kind of, it's almost romanticization of like, my life is just so crazy. And like, can you believe that like these things keep happening to me? It's like, yeah, I can.
100. Yeah, exactly. So, okay, wait, now I'm looking at my movie notes.
What did you feel about, if you felt anything at all, about them taking out the indicators of time? So in the script, every now and again we cut forward in time. We cut forward in time in the movie too, but in the script they always tell us how much time it's been. It's
Usually
like
6 months,
3
right?
months later, 4 months later,
Yeah.
2 years later, whatever it is. They always tell us,
6
and then
months or a
we
year,
see.
yeah.
But the writer also indicates it with the appearance of the character too.
Mhm.
Which I liked the way he used appearance to indicate kind of their mental state too, especially with Dan.
Mhm.
At one point when Dan's been with Alice for a year, we see how confident he looks and like he's dressing differently. He looks good.
Mhm.
Then after that, a year after that, he's in dirty jeans and he's disheveled and he's unshaven. And that's when he starts to play the games with Larry online. And I thought that was interesting. But in the script, we take out any caption where it says like a year
Yeah.
later, whatever. And it does work.
Oh, you mean in the movie?
In the movie, yeah.
Yeah.
In the movie, they take that out.
It does work, but part of me I have to be honest, part of me thought, does it work because we read the script and we know each time they jump? Because to be honest with you,
You only
don't
find
know.
out after the fact when someone finally mentions how long it's been.
Yeah. And I
Um,
felt like Natalie Portman, they did the best job with her looks for time. I felt like Anna kind of looked like Anna the whole fucking time. Like Anna didn't, other than when she's leaving Larry, she looks like
it really worked with Natalie, yeah, because the hair.
the hair. Yep.
The hair was changing.
Fully.
Also, there was never even one character description for
Yeah.
anyone and barely any ages. And it
Mhm.
really worked against them for me when it came to Larry. I did not know how, like when we see Larry, I forgot that we saw him in the beginning. Maybe they describe his age at the very beginning when after she got hit with the car, because he's the
But
doctor
they took that
for
out
that.
of the movie, didn't they?
Yeah, they did
They
take
did.
that out of the movie. They did take that.
Because I
We don't
realized
see
it-
her go back to see the doctor. We just see
Mm-mm.
them in the waiting room. They
Mhm.
did take it out. Yeah.
And she gets bandaged up at his house in the script, but in the movie, she gets bandaged up at the hospital.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like interesting, different.
I
liked that
but
she hadn't
with
met
Larry,
before,
like
actually.
they throw Larry in there and we don't in the very beginning, then we don't see him again until like 30 pages after. I totally forgot about him. And it's like we cut to a different amount of time. It says it's just Larry sitting at his desk. I didn't know who the fuck Larry was. They say he's a doctor, so I automatically think he's fucking old. And so I was like, I don't.
Oh, that's funny.
But then, like when he shows up to the aquarium and he's talking to Anna, and there's like that DDD. Then when he's like, "Oh, well, you've seen me now, and you don't. That's why you don't like me." And I was like, "Oh, so he is old." But then I was realizing, wait, no, he's not.
Yeah.
It really confused me as a reader to not have any
you're right.
physical demarcations or age.
Oh, well,
it fucked with me.
I will say, I'm a ride or die. I'm going to say this probably every other episode. I am a ride or die. Give me some physical description. For me, the only reason why it didn't bother me in this is because I knew the actors. That's the fucking truth. It would have bothered me if I didn't. I would have had a way harder time. I already struggled a little bit to connect, and I think I would have felt like nothing if do you know what I'm saying? I'm just a person. I don't need much. I just need something. Okay. You know what I thought was fucking insane when I realized it?
What?
For a movie that is literally about sex and love, there is no sex scene.
There's not. Oh my God, there's not even one.
Thank you.
There?
This is the appropriate reaction, and this is what I was looking for. So thank you. That was me. Yes.
Wait,
not one.
Not.
All it is them kissing in the Julia Roberts and Jude Law. That is the most passionate it gets.
But it also almost feels like you're getting fucked the entire time you watch this movie at the same time.
That's why the epiphany is shocking.
What the fuck?
There's not even nudity.
No, there's not. Oh my God.
I'm so glad that you're as rattled as I was.
Whoa. No, because
which shows you, by the way, I am not anti or pro sex scene. I will say I'm pro when it's done well, actually, because I think it can absolutely add layers to some stories that change it.
Girl.
Yeah. Oh my God. But that is one example of that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then other times where you do see like an intimacy shift between two characters, like
it
can actually, when
really
it's
works
done
for
well,
intimacy shift,
yeah, when it's done well, you can really do it. But that being said, I do think a lot of things throw a sex scene in there just because they're like, we're going to throw a sex scene in there. Like it feels so random.
Yeah, it does.
But with this movie, it made me think, I'm like, proof that you don't like, it's a real challenge to feel like it's still a sexy movie in a weird way.
Yeah.
It not completely, but I mean, like there's moments of it that realizing there is really no sex and barely even kissing, but you still like connect with them and you believe all, like it's shocking to learn that it's not in there. That makes you go like, when it's done well, you don't have to lean into literally seeing people
It's true.
Physically. You
don't miss it. You don't want it. Like,
I really didn't in this.
There's enough tension and like that's sexy enough.
And honestly, I realized I'm like a 90% tension person with this stuff where I'm like, I just want to watch people desire each other more than I want to see them go at it after a certain period of time.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
And then give me a little foreplay and then let's go.
Like I was even watching, I don't love to see people make out on screen.
No, me neither.
Whether it's a man and a woman or a man and a man or a woman and a woman.
I feel the same way.
I was watching a gay movie last night and the guys were kissing and I was like, I don't want to see people make out most of the time on screen.
I agree.
I find it's
Some
kind
people
of
can I
gross.
say that I'm actually kind of jealous of the people that got like really into it. I'm like, oh, I sometimes I wish I did, but I'm just like 9 times out of 10, I'm like
that get really into kissing in general, or that get into watching people kissing. I'm confused.
People watching, like I know a lot of people who are like, oh my God, that kiss on da da da, girl, I felt that, and I'm like, I almost never feel that. Sometimes, sometimes I do.
You know where I feel that is Love Actually. I feel that so deeply in Love Actually. I love that movie.
That's fair. We should do Love Actually.
We should do that movie.
Note to self. We should do that.
I just saw on page 45, I wrote, I hate Dan. He's a stalker perv and it's not endearing.
Dan is kind of the worst.
Yeah. Hate him. When she says like you won't leave me alone, you're like stalking me outside my studio. He's like, I'm not stalking, I lurk. And I'm like, that's not cute.
That's what I mean. Stop normalizing stalker.
It's not fucking
stuff.
cute, but
Anna eats it up. She slops it up like a pig in shit. She does.
And like we already mentioned this, but it tastes like you, but sweeter is such a fucking powerhouse line.
Is that why they say that in that one song? Tastes like you, but sweeter.
Oh, you know what other line is so iconic that was in the play too. That actually song was the song. There's a song title that is this lyric, that is this dialogue. It's Natalie Portman's. I mean, it's so iconic. She says, "Lying's the most fun a girl can have without taking her clothes off, but it's better if you do." Like,
so good.
Icon. And I love the way that she delivers that line too.
Real talk, I don't think anyone else on the planet could have played that role.
No, agreed. Especially at that time. I was gonna say maybe a Scarlett Johansson, but Natalie is a better actor than Scarlett. Overall,
but I also think Natalie just has this like. She's played, her roles are all over the place that you trust her. When you see her in something, you immediately trust her to handle it, and she does.
It's true. Oh my God, we have to do Black Swan. I'm so down for that to be next.
Write it the F down. Write it the F down.
So there is some action that I do love.
Give it to me, tell it to me.
That I want to read. Let me just read that.
Give it to me.
So it's on page 65. It is when Larry goes to the strip club and sees Anna for the first time. I really enjoyed the way Alice. He sees Alice at the strip club. I really love the way the club was written because, you know me, I love action. So it says interior main room continuous, a huge room, an exclusive modern speakeasy, a cool designer dive, money. 100 men, mainly in suits, 100 men, mainly in suits, singly or in groups, sit at tables watching the show.
Sorry.
There goes the chair.
These chairs are going to be, our asses are going to be on the ground by the end of this.
100 men, mainly in suits, singly or in groups, sit at tables watching the show. The tables have 1930s retro telephones on them. The men sip drinks and smoke. They don't talk. They just watch, and women dance. Some of the women are naked. Some are about to be. They dance on various raised areas above the men. The music is very loud. We see the women from the men's POV in rapid cuts. Leg, ankle, collarbone, back of knee, cleavage, ass, tits, spine, pubic hair, armpit, cleft of buttock, the muscles flexing, perspiration, eyes, mouths, earlobes, fingers, toes, bellies, teeth. Now we watch the men watching, the intensity of their gaze, the seriousness of their gratitude. Men lean forward and place 20-pound notes in the women's garters. The women smile and bend over. And then it says, and now alone at a single table, we find Larry. I love the use of the different nouns and shit like that.
It was it created so much tone.
And like you can see the shots in your head.
100%.
And it just really, really plays into it. And then that whole scene, that whole sequence in the strip club in the movie is probably my favorite when it comes to the cinematography. When they're in that private room and there's these moments where it's Natalie Portman in that pink wig and behind her is like this water effect light.
I know.
And it's this almost like candy coated palette, but it's so gorgeous and she's so stunning and ethereal and like it is. Oh, it's perfect. It's so good.
It's perfect. And even down to like when she like shows him her vagina.
Girl.
The way they have the head. It's so well done.
I love. Also, Clive Owens is horrifying in that scene. He's so horrifying, but like.
I don't find him particularly sexy, but I do think he's very, 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 very talented.
He is very talented. What happened to Clive Owens? Bring back Clive Owens.
Is it Owens or Owen?
Owen. It is Owen. I'm saying Owens.
You want him so bad you made him plural. Where was mine? Oh, Anna's confession to having sex with Larry to Dan. Like when Dan, by the way, wait, pause for a sec. Everybody is low-key psychic in this movie. The way you just go along with like how many times one of them like raises their head as if to signify, I just had a realization. And then they go into the other room and it's like, did you sleep with him? Do you know what I'm saying? Like the way Jude Law, they're on their date and then he goes in there and all of a sudden he just like looks up at himself and goes and he just knows. That happens like 3 times in the script. I'm like, they're all just like low key or they just all know that they can't trust each other, I guess. I don't know. You could interpret it a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But I also think because he's like her, that's also part of it.
Yeah. It takes a very, very perceptive person to do that. Like my boyfriend I can't hide. God, no. I can't hide shit from him, even if it's a good thing. Like, he knows me so well that, like,
He can feel an immediate shift.
he just knows.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah. There's no mystique.
But he's like one of maybe 2 or 3 people I've ever met that's like that. But I know what you mean. Yeah. They are all psychic.
What?
Psychic.
But okay, so when she admits it though, she's so like spineless about it. The way she tells him that she did have sex with him, I literally was like, I felt like if I was like her friend, I would be like, Anna, you're giving me the ick.
How does she say it?
She's just like, it was like part of it was honestly her performance. It was just like so like, well, I had to. Like I literally, the word that just kept going through my head was spineless. Like the way she did it was like this,
I
like,
love him.
no, not that scene. You're thinking of a different one. When Dan comes out and goes, did you sleep with him?
At the opera house.
Yes. That.
It is so spineless. She's kind of like, well, but then it's like, you didn't even want to go fuck him, but now all of a sudden you're like, want to go back to him after you literally said to him, I'm only doing this because I pity you.
But I'm like, but again, I'm like, I don't believe you. I don't
Agreed.
believe you at all. I think you're doing this because it makes you feel powerful and you like that you did this. I truly think that her character liked that she did it.
I think she likes that she did it too. I'm trying to think, like,
Not enough to stay
what
with.
about, because I was wondering, like, maybe there's something about Larry doing that, saying that to her that like made her realize, but like, why would that, like, him
she goes
trying
back
to
to him.
manipulate her? She does. It's just so foreign from like how I think.
It's night and day different than how I think. That's why I think it's so interesting. Okay, so are we going to talk about the big thing that's different?
Well, yeah.
Or do you have goodies? Between where, like, well, I guess we're going all over the script.
We are going all over.
All over.
I mean, I'm down to talk. I mean,
but I mean, like, a night and day different ending.
Completely different.
She, spoiler alert, dies in the script.
Yeah, and in the play too. It's ultimately a tragedy.
Oh, in the play too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was curious.
She dies. So I'm guessing this is how the ending of the script. And there's this whole ending thing where, like, because in the movie, she leaves Dan, and then the ending shot is like her walking through the streets of New York, and all these guys like being like, "Wow, whoa, look how hot she is.
She's got longer hair. Get her."
And then like, yeah.
But they do the reveal of her name in a clever way, which I liked.
Oh, with the passport. Yeah. That was
and
really
also
nice.
I have to tell you, that moment of going immediately when, oh my God, she was giving Larry her real fucking name.
I loved that
in
too.
That. What an absolutely stunning callback, because I was like, I'm up, and then like
Plain Jane Jones,
to watch her do that scene, knowing that she was giving
that was fun.
Her real name was so, it made me go like, God, you're good. She's now. So I was like, you can just trust her.
Natalie Portman is an incredible actor.
Because the way she delivered it, I was like, yep, pretty much.
Yeah, I saw
She's
that.
literally going.
Plain Jane. That is my name.
Yep,
Jane.
Thank
Still
you,
Plain Jane.
Jane.
Jones. Thank you. Yeah.
It's like, do you have to say that? She's like, I'm just trying to be like, oh my God, she's good in the whole thing, but she is.
But yeah,
extra good in that scene.
She gets hit by a car again. But this time she dies, and it ends with Dan being like all depressed and
meeting up with Anna and Larry, who are no longer together anymore. I have to say that part to me was so strange.
It's odd, but I mean, I know people like that who they stay in close contact with their exes. That's just not me as well.
They're weird exes. They're all weird. Like, we all try to kill each other exes. Like. Yeah. My point was, it would make more sense to me that Anna wanted Larry there. But the fact that she said Dan wanted us to meet up made me go like, why would Dan want to meet up with Larry and Anna?
Dan wants to see them before he goes to New York to identify Alice's body, because she has no next of kin to identify her body. So he has Larry and Anna come meet him in the park that he and Alice went to in the very beginning. And in that park, there's this whole memorial for people who have died while saving other people's lives. and one of the names on the wall is Alice Ayers, which is the name that Jane said that she went by Alice the entire time, but we find out at the end that it's not. Which that reveal on the passport really is one of the
Very
best,
well done.
one of the best moments.
Truly.
And it's like she's really one of the only people, like, I feel like the symbolism, at least on some level, is her like going back to New York, back to where she's from. We see her name for the first time. So it's almost like, this is very much implied, but like her coming back to herself and like accepting like whatever I was going off to London, like I'm coming back to be myself. Whatever that means here, whoever I was trying to be as Alice isn't there, so might as well go be Jane.
Ooh, I like that. You added a little something to it that I didn't necessarily see, but I really like it.
Assumption.
But I like that.
But
and we gave her extensions at the end, so you know,
she's
living her best life.
Time has passed.
I love though all the guys who were like, "Whoa!" when she walks by.
It was odd.
It was a little cartoony.
It was a bit weird. I think that if you know the context of like the script and like that is also the same ending as the play, I feel like her crossing the street is when she's going to get hit. I feel like if we had stayed with her on that ending shot a little bit longer, we would have seen her get hit by a car, which I think I would have liked more. If we see her get plowed over and then we end it, that would have been such like a moment, because an oddly hopeful ending as it stands in the movie.
Yeah.
For a very bleak script, for a very bleak story in a lot of ways.
Although I did think it was interesting that in the movie she goes back to Larry and stays with Larry. In the script, they're not together when they all meet up at the end. She talks to him about his new girlfriend.
That's right.
Poppy or Polly or something.
Polly,
the nurse,
I think.
The nurse or whatever. So I was like, oh, interesting to go from having them not be together and her with a dog. That was more hopeful in this sense that it was like
her with the dog. And then I did like that she jokingly says to him, "Fuck off and die, you fucking slag," which is like obviously what he said to her last time.
Yeah.
They got in that fight. Because I kind of like the idea of like that really shows when someone's gotten over something when you're able to joke about it.
Yeah,
and
like they healed.
It's also like an odd kind of like olive branch to give someone where it's like you're jokingly saying to them the horrible thing that they said to you, where it's like, see, it's fine. I like that. There's a line of dialogue that was not in the movie that was in the script from Dan that I love. There's also a line of dialogue from Alice that's not in the movie that I love.
Which?
So the one from Dan that I love is on page 108 at the very top. So earlier in the movie and in the script, this is in both of them, when he first meets Alice and he takes her to the hospital after she gets hit by the cab or whatever, she is searching through his briefcase for a cigarette. I think she was searching for money. I think she was going to rob him, but then she gets caught and she's like, I was searching for a cigarette. But she finds his sandwich in there and the crusts are cut off. And she's like, why'd you cut your crust off? Did your mom always do that? He's like, no, I just always cut the crusts off. So there's a callback to that at the very end that was really heartbreaking and really brought something to Dan, a deep tenderness that actually was very moving to me when I read it. So Dan is talking with Anna and he says, he's saying how he found out that she died, that Alice has died. He says, the phone rang. It was the police. Her parents aren't alive, divorced. They're trying to trace them. Then it says beat. And then he says, she said she fell in love with me because I cut off my crusts, because it was only that day because the bread broke in my hands. Like, she fell in love with him for a story that she created in her head because she saw that he cut his crust off and she thought that was so endearing and sweet and cute and that he must do that every day. But really, he was just doing that because, oh, well, it fucking broke, so might as well just cut him off. And then, like, ran with that because she saw him, like, she saw tenderness in him that he almost couldn't see in a way. And he loved her for that. And also, like, he loved the idealized version of himself that he got to experience through her, which is, I think, something that we all do in relationships. I think we all, especially in the beginning of a relationship, we see our partner in this very idealistic perspective, but we can also kind of see ourselves in a new way through them and
Completely
love
agree.
ourselves more through them in certain ways. And I thought that was a really kind of beautiful way to kind of wrap all that in there. It didn't make it to the movie,
because she's alive.
but I could see how in a play that line would probably make me
Ruin you.
sob.
Well, what's this is why I love that we do this, is because what you just said is so stunning and so insightful. And I completely agree with you. But interestingly enough, while I was reading it, I thought it was saying more. I thought it was like Dan expressing guilt, that like more so of like she fell in love with a version of me that was not like I wasn't that good. You know what I mean? Like she thought I was better than I was.
I think that's probably the correct take.
No, first off, I don't think there is a right take, but I
that's
think
fair, but
I took it more.
That's much more poignant though.
I took it as him being like, fuck, like she like, I'm not even that good of a person.
She loved me for that, but that was just because it was a mistake that day, and it was all.
But I agree, heartbreaking either way. It was heartbreaking
like it was
to me.
Doomed from the start because it was based off of a lie.
That's how
anyway.
I interpreted it. But again, what you said is
he loved the lie so much, he just let it keep going.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I like that. And then here's the line that didn't make it to the movie. Wait. So this is the flip-flop. This line was not in the script, but it was in the movie, and I fucking loved it because it is so good. When Dan tells Alice that he's been with Anna and he's leaving her, later on that scene, she's saying that she says this to him. She says, because he says something like, I don't know. I forgot what he said. Anyway, this is her response to him. She says, as if you had no choice. There's a moment. There's always a moment. I can do this. I can give into this, or I can resist it. And I don't know what your moment was, but I bet you there was one. And because it's like, he's trying to get out of, like, he's trying to be so sensible. It's like, I'm just so swept up. I'm so in love. How could I help myself? And it's like, no, bitch. There's always a moment where you can go left or go right.
In the movie.
She says that in the movie. It's not in the script though.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty certain it's not in the script.
Are you sure?
Or I might be completely wrong.
Maybe you're right, but I really thought that it was. Because I remember when I was, I thought, maybe I'm making shit up, but I thought when I was reading it, I had that thought like, oh, because that was the line that all my girlfriends were obsessed with, myself included, when I watched it as like a young gal. And I remember thinking like there was something like also weirdly comforting and romantic about someone being able to boil down the moment the moment someone allows themselves to betray another person. It's articulated so well, but it also, I feel like,
wait, it is in the script.
Yeah.
I am tripping hardcore. I don't know. I guess I didn't place this when I read it, but in the movie, it really, really, really hits.
Because again,
it's
give
so
it to
true.
Natalie. Pass the ball to Natalie. She's gonna shoot and she's gonna win. All right. Pass the ball to Nat. Okay. No, 100%. It's so like that has stayed with me because when I hear about certain things with cheating and stuff like that, I actually sometimes think about that fucking line because it is true. It does always boil down to one moment.
It's applicable to every shitty situation in life.
100%.
There's always a moment.
There's always a moment.
And everyone's been on it. Everyone's had to make the decision too. And everyone knows the feeling of choosing to do the bad thing and choosing to do the more morally just thing.
100%. 100%.
I you know what? I still stand by my daddy scores for a scripted movie.
Fair.
Although I do have a more positive view of the script now because it really did, the story really did get me thinking a lot about like my experience, my lived experience of relationships and my outlook and ethos with relationships is so different than these people that are in this. And it's always interesting when you are kind of forced to put yourself in that mindset to think like, well, what can I like see through this, you know?
Completely agree with you.
And it's good. It does a good job of that. I would really love to see the play.
I would really love to see the play too.
Really love it. Also, this is another thing I saw where someone was saying, do you think the title is Closer or Closer?
know why the delivery of that
different
doesn't.
contexts.
True.
But hearing that
think
the
it's
play is close,
closer.
I think it's
I
closer
think it's
too.
closer.
Mhm.
It's just, I got to give it to all of them. They all fucking delivered. Those schmactas, they showed up and they acted their little asses off. Like
Mhm.
truly, I was like, this must have been such. One of the trivia things was that Natalie Portman gave Julia Roberts a necklace at the beginning of production that said cunt. And then at the end, Julia Roberts gave her one that said little cunt.
Oh my God, I love it.
Which is like, sorry for the language, y'all, but like also so funny. And I feel like speaks to like like it seems like they probably had a great time doing it. Cause it's like, it's like yummy, meaty, juicy fucking scenes to get to do as an actor. Like,
oh yeah. You get
oh
to
my God.
really go there.
You really get to go there. And it's so.
You get the spit flying. You get
Spit
the.
It's true. So we stand by our scores.
I do stand by it. And
I'll stand
I'm
by
skewing
you.
much more positive after our conversation.
Yeah, it really is a movie that is constantly begging the question, how do you define love?
Yeah, and I would like to, honestly, I think it'd be interesting to reread this script like another 20 years from now. I feel like this is a script that's going to it's a story that's only going to change the older you get as your perspective changes on relationships and love and the experience that you have in that.
100%. And
Very
also,
interesting.
but how willing and unwilling they all kind of were also to like actually assess themselves, in the sense that like, I did find it so interesting that Dan was so heartbroken by Anna sleeping with Larry one more time when he literally stayed with Alice the entire time they were having this affair. That I'm like, but again, I was like, because he's such a narcissist that he wanted to believe once she's mine, but because she cheated, she must not be mine. Like he's so blind to his own shit, but is
well, it's just so childish too, of like, I can handle this. I just want you to tell me the truth. No, you can't. You want a reason for this to fail because you are not secure in yourself and what is worthy for you.
Did you feel like there was something oddly satisfying with how decisive Alice would be? Like in the beginning of the film, she says that like, if I don't love them anymore, I leave. Like, you just leave. And he's like, you just leave. He's like, and then he's like, what if you still love them? She's like, then I don't leave. That then when at the end it comes down to it, and she says he leaves the room and he comes back and she says, I don't love you anymore. And what I love about it is it feels like one of those moments where you're like, it's not 100% true, but I weirdly appreciated what like that this, and that she did act on it. She's out. You know what I mean?
She's decisive.
But like, on one hand, it feels so like heightened and insane, but on the other hand, like I thought she performed it so fucking well.
Yeah, I feel like this is
it was actually a person finally like taking care of themselves and going like, I'm fucking, I kept coming back for you and I'm not doing this shit anymore.
Well, yeah, it's her living up to who she said she is. This is a girl who is like 20 when we meet her.
Yeah.
And
she's a
her
baby.
past is that she was a stripper in New York, and there was a whole book written about her crazy life before that. So God knows what this girl's been through. Both of her parents are dead.
No, isn't it in that they say they're not dead, they're just divorced?
Or is that what's in the movie? In the script, he says that he has to go back. Yeah. Okay. I think in the movie, I think they are divorced. Yeah.
I think that's what
in the movie, he does say that they're divorced. But like,
or maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
No, I think that is what they say in the movie. And then, but like this girl, of course, like she's going to be a decisive person because she's like, she has no problem she's like a gypsy girl. Like she will go anywhere. She's like kind of like reading the wind kind of thing, but she also has integrity in the sense where she's like, she knew that in that moment, he's doing that same fucking thing again. All I want's the truth. Tell me the truth, then we can get past this, blah, 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 blah. No, you're not. You're never going to be able to fucking forgive me. I've been through this with you before. I know this is a lie, so I'm fucking out.
Yeah.
Because like, yeah, things are like, I'm like playing the role of like fun girlfriend. We're all happy and lovey-dovey again, but I still like, it's all contingent upon whether you're still a fucking crazy ass or not.
100%. Well, also too, the fact that we see her when she's so kind of like dyed pink, all that stuff in the beginning, and she feels like such a free bird. What's so interesting is that after that, we only know her as being overly attached to this man who so clearly is not good enough for her. That like in the beginning, they set you up to feel like she would leave a man like him in a heartbeat. When, like, if she had realized that they kissed, she would have been like, bye. Like, I don't love you anymore. Do you know what I mean? But she didn't. That it almost made it more sincere when she did finally hit her breaking point.
It's
And she
true,
was
yeah.
like, I don't love you anymore. I'm done. Like, I kept doing this thing and now I'm out. That's when it was like, oh, the free bird's back. Like, she's back.
Yeah.
You know, but maybe in a healthier,
And then she dies.
more grounded way. Yeah. And then she dies. So that was that.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll come back next week.
I need you to say something else.
Thanks for listening to Script Daddy. This has been your host, Colin. And we're really cool girl, Carlie.
Will you do your Australian voice for 1 second?
Or that's the lowest hanging fruit. Everyone
It's
does
my
more.
no, but Colin's so good at it, and it's like one of
It's
my
really
favorite
stupid.
things on the planet. Anyway, we came, we saw, we watched Closer.
We did. We did. Also, there's no Daddy Do's and Daddy Don'ts this
We did,
episode.
and
I
we
don't
decided
really
that's
have
okay.
any. It's going to have to be okay because I didn't have any.
Yeah, it's gonna have
Neither
to be okay.
of us had any.
Colin and I discussed, like, do we feel like we have to always stick? And it's like, no, this we didn't. It would have felt really uncomfortable to force a do and don't. This lived in its own space, and it was kind of fun that it did. Like, I
Yeah.
was like, it just feels like a more authentic experience to be like, you know what? Didn't have either of those for this. Like, it
Agreed.
exists, and I appreciated it.
Agreed. We got this script on Script Fly, our favorite place for scripts if you can't find them with a simple Google. Lots of scripts can be found if you just Google the name of the movie with screenplay PDF next to it. But also there's a lot of really shitty transcriptions that just like fans have made.
So many. It's more that I feel
But
like than scripts.
you'll be
these
able to
days.
tell with the formatting. You'll know. But anyway,
That's
Script
true.
Fly is great.
It's where
You have to pay
yeah.
for them.
Worth
But
it.
definitely use it as a resource.
Is this a script that you would recommend for a writer to read? A screenwriter?
if this is if you like
Pina
like
colada.
slice of life character like exploration, like emotionally driven movies, read it for. I mean,
It wouldn't be like a top recommendation
no,
to me.
there's some good dialogue in it, but again, I think it's kind of its own thing.
I think it's more inspiring,
Especially
as a
being
film.
especially being an adaptation. I think it kind of, like you said, lives in a world of its own.
100%.
If you're a big fan of the movie, read the script. It might be a different experience for you.
Oh, actually, I fully, wholeheartedly agree with that.
Mhm.
I think if you really love the movie, that it would be a fun little contrast.
You know what? It is a really good example of how, this is a note we've given before too, of how actors really can
Elevate.
elevate the material, because there's so much I didn't see on the script that truly came to life.
This
in
was
movie
the
for me.
best example of that I think we've read so far.
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of the scripts we've read so far, the characters live on the page way more,
Mhm.
for better or worse. Whereas this one, it came alive on on a whole other
Really
level.
did, yeah.
Like it had me going like, oh, that was a cool choice that
Yes.
they made.
Mhm.
And you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
yes, God. All right. Well, I love you so much.
Love you so much too.
Love you.
Join us next
Bye. Join us
time
next time
on
for
Script
another great one.
Daddy.
Script
Daddy.
Script Daddy. Thank you for listening, Script Babies.
We love you. If you wouldn't mind liking and reviewing us on the podcast platform that you're listening to us on, and following us on Instagram and TikTok at Script Daddy Podcast. Let's keep the conversation going.
Bye.
See you next week.
We love you.